In this video, I will talk about how can we select a WAN technology according to its purpose. So let us see the overview of WAN link connection options. So if we look into WAN access options, there are two types, which is private and public one. So what is private one? So private one infrastructure is the wide area network that contains resources or link that are dedicated to a single organization or to a single customer. Say for example, like UTEM, if we would like to connect to the UTEM branch in campus Bandar, for example, or campus industry. So basically, we could subscribe for a dedicated link to connect to these two sites. So this contrasts with a public one, which use general internet or public internet, public internet, where all services are delivered over the internet based on the best effort basis. When we say best effort basis, means there's no guarantee on the bandwidth given to that particular link. So now, under private one, we have two types, which is dedicated and switch network. And between these, so under dedicated, we have lease line, meaning you are renting the line from one point to another. And then under switch network, we have switch circuit and also packet switch, which I have explained earlier on. And on the public one, we have a broadband technology and also VPN, virtual private network topology, which is implemented over DSL cable and also wireless connection. So let us look at this diagram. So this diagram shows the integration of different WAN access technologies. So I will explain one by one according to the type of the technologies here. So I'll start with lease line. So lease line or rented line or also dedicated line is the line networks that are simplest of the implementation. But when we say simplest, it is also the most expensive. So what happened here is the organization or the customer will lease a dedicated point-to-point link. And then when you lease the whole link, the whole communication line, so basically bandwidth is guaranteed between the endpoints. So what happened here is the lease lines are used to connect, for example, the subscriber to the vendor to make use of other technologies. So once that connection is made, so there will be other options come into play. So if you look here, say for example in this organization, this organization has two office, which is the New York office and also the London office. So the from New York to the service from the New York, from the CSUDSU to the service provider network. So basically they will lease a direct connection, and the same goes in the London office from the service provider network to the London office. So basically they will rent a dedicated connection. So you could see here there is a difference between the standard use of the lines. So between the new office to the service provider network, so they use T3, and because basically here the line service depends on which continent you are in. So basically T1 standard, or in this case T3, is usually used for North America. And for the European countries, so they will use E1 standard, or in this case the E3. So so that's the difference here, depending on the continent of where the organization resides. Yeah. So now Let us look at the different type of lease line and capacities. So the one that I have explained earlier on is this one. So T1 and E1, if you know that the 56 and 64 is the modem connection speed, so T1 and E1 is the usual lines that is used for um, dedicated or lease line connection. So basically, we know that if you look at the speed, 1.544, like previously for the E3 and T3, 34 megabit per second, and also the um, 44 megabit per second. So you could see that it is slower than our usual internet connection, isn't it? It is slower. But the thing is, of course, organizations are aware of this, but they have other benefit in comparison with the usual internet that we have nowadays. So one of the main advantage, even though it's slower than the internet speed that we have today, is the security. Because when you lease the lines, it's a very nature of private, and you must remember that although like at your home you are subscribing for 300 megabit per second or 100 megabit per second, but here for E3 and T3 or E1 and T1 standard, the bandwidth is guaranteed, meaning the line is solely dedicated for the customers. It's not shared. Okay, so that's the main difference. So because it's not shared, so basically it's very secure in comparison with the public internet, because the line is belongs to the customer, belongs to the organization, and not shared with other customer. So that's the main benefit, even though it looks like it is low. So the second benefit is because there is a guaranteed bandwidth. So basically, the organization does not have to worry about packet loss and latency. So we knows that when the line is oversubscribed, when the line is shared with others, there will be oversubscription. So that and congestion might happen. So but this does not happen in the lease line. So you must understand that even though it seems like the speed is slower than the usual public internet, but it is a guaranteed bandwidth. Okay. Now, this is advantage and disadvantage of lease line. Next, this is a dial-up. Dial-up if you are using the modem connection, but of course, I'm not going to go further for this because this is like a really old technology. Back in the days in 2000, early 2000. So if anybody like myself, when I just graduated and I subscribed for graduated my bachelor degree in early 2000s. So and I subscribed for streaming. So basically we will use the dial up modem technologies. So in the speed is really slow, like I have shown earlier on, the 56 and 64 kilobit per second, and it use this is the advantage and disadvantage of it. You can read it at your own. Next, I will explain about the ISDN. So the ISDN is also a very old technology, but ISDN is mainly used for circuit switching. So basically now, because we have the broadband internet connection, so this kind of technology is not really appeal to the customer nowadays, because I think can no longer compete. As I explained earlier on, for the lease line, even though the speed is low, but it's a granted bandwidth. But for the ISDN, basically the line is shared. Okay, so let us look at the idea. Okay, the idea of the ISDN. So here, for the ISDN, So basically, in previous in recent years, so we are heavily invested with the voice over internet protocol. So what happened here is, okay, I have explained earlier on, that the circuit switching is very beneficial for voice communication, isn't it? So now, if you look into the diagram, okay, if you look into the diagram here, so the ISDN can be divided for ISDN BRI and also ISDN PRI. So what is the difference between these two technologies for ISDN? So if you look carefully, let us look at the number of channel. Okay, let us look at the number of channel. So BRI is usually used for smaller enterprise, smaller company, and PRI is usually used for medium and large company. So but sometimes a smaller company will also use PRI because you can make more number of simultaneous calls, because remember ISDN is for voice. Okay, so in the here, okay, if you look here, PRI and BRI, so they both use B channel. Okay, so you see here B channel, okay, for transmitting the actual content, and D channel. So this is the similarities, the D channel for signaling and other communication. But what makes it different is the number of channel that they use. So BRI only use two B channel, one for up and one for down, and a single D channel. So for each of the channel consists of 64 kilobyte per second. The bandwidth is 64 kilobytes. So basically, hence the reason why BRI is usually used for smaller company. But for the PRI, so the number of channel is 23 T1 channel or 30 E1 channel. Okay, 23B for T1 line or 30B E1 for E1. Like again, depending on where, in which continent that the customer resides. Okay, so basically that's the main comparison, which is the number of channel. So if you are in North America or Japan, so you will use the configuration of 23B channel with a single D channel. But if you resides in London, the customer resides in London or even Malaysia, they will use the 30B E1 channel. So since PRI use multiple channel, so the direction can be configured in order to accommodate whichever needs the most bandwidth. So this could not be done in the ISDN BRI. Okay, so now we already see the difference between two different ISDN type, which is ISDN BRI and also ISDN PRI. Now, next technology is frame relay. So in the frame relay, a frame relay is actually a technology which is proprietary to Cisco, yeah, Cisco network. So or Cisco organization. So basically, frame relay. What is actually frame relay? So in the frame relay, uh, it is used to transfer data between a LAN that is separated geographically across WAN. So if we look in the example here, we have the corporate head office and it tries to communicate branch office through the WAN. So in here, you can see that what they are trying to do is the company will use frame relay to move data along between the remote sites by using a full-time lease line, rather than using a full-time lease line, so they will create the PVC. So what is PVC? PVC means permanent virtual connection. So in here, the frame relay device create the this virtual circuit, okay, um, between the remote site and also the corporate head office in this example, okay. So whenever the corporate head office would like to send data to the branch office, so they will use this virtual circuit. Okay, they will use this virtual circuit on top of the existing WAN technology. So it looks like, that there is a dedicated virtual connection. Okay, it looks like it's a dedicated virtual connection. So how does they communicate? So the dedicated connection link and this dedicated connection link endpoints are usually configured on the router, okay, on the edge routers. So the endpoints will be labeled with a unique identifier, which we call it as data link connection interface, or DLC. So DLC is locally identified, okay, on each routers. So here PVCs and DLC will ensure bidirectional communication from one DTE device to another. So like for example, if because you see the DLC number is not the same because it is locally identified. It's only known for that particular router. So that's why R1 use DLC 102 to reach R2, while R2 uses DLC 201 to reach R1. But the thing is now, because we are usually creating in recent years, many companies are creating private WAN over public internet. So the frame relay technology is not really popular anymore. Okay, it's not like obsolete, but it's like people are not using it anymore. Okay, not many companies are using it anymore. Next, private WAN infrastructure. So this is like a really famous technology nowadays. Okay, you could from the explanation there, you could see that many companies now has a switch or move to Ethernet WAN technologies, because in previous years, when we are talking about connecting to WAN, so we usually use the technologies that is embedded or comes together with routers. Okay, but now with Ethernet WAN, so basically um, we could actually focuses on um, creating a WAN using switching approach. Okay, so we know that Ethernet was originally developed to be to for LAN, isn't it? So, however, previously it is not really suitable for WAN, okay, because of the maximum cable length that need to be supported. We know that for LAN, the length of the cable, the Ethernet cable, is only up to a kilometers. However, nowadays the Ethernet standards already switch from using the normal Ethernet cable to fiber optics cable. So because now many companies have switched into the fiber optic cable, which is made the Ethernet suitable for one access. Okay, so because fiber optics can support the length of the fiber optic that can be supported can be up to 5 kilometers. And sometimes if you look into the IEEE 1000 base standard, base ZX standard, it could support up to 70 kilometers cable length. So hence the reason now service provider, the ISP, offer Internet WAN service using fiber optic cabling. So the Internet WAN can comes or known as many names. Like for example, Metropolitan Internet, Internet over MPLS, or also VPLS. So why people now switching from the, or if it says here, replace the traditional frame relay to Ethernet WAN, because it reduced the expenses and administration. Now even UTEM also now has switched into Metro Ethernet, okay, configuration topologies. So the first and the main reason why people are switching from the normal WAN technologies to Ethernet WAN is because to reduce expenses and administration, because we already know that okay, the LAN is already configured using the Ethernet LAN. So basically the Ethernet WAN through the fiber optic technologies provide a high bandwidth layer 2 network um, um, which capable of doing data, voice, and video transmission all in the same infrastructure, right? Because if you look earlier on, the technologies differs according to the type of data transmission, whether it's a voice or data. But for Ethernet WAN, it's suitable for all. So this is the main characteristics that actually um, attract organization to switch to Ethernet WAN. And also because we already have the existing Ethernet LAN in the organization, so by using Ethernet WAN, it makes the integration with the existing network more seamless. Okay, thereby it will reduce the installation and also installation time and also the installation cost, right? Next, I will talk about um, the MPLS. Okay, I will talk about the MPLS. So, what is MPLS? MPLS is multi-protocol label switching. So, MPLS is a multi-protocol high-performance WAN technology that directs data from one router to the next. On contrary to the normal IP routing, so in the IP routing, they will forward the packet based on the IP address. But in the MPLS, they do not forward the packet based on the IP address. They will forward the packet based on the short path labels. So this idea is very important, especially when you want to for multimedia networking. Okay, for multimedia networking, so this is very important because we want to ensure that the multimedia data is prioritized and is because this kind of data, the multimedia data, is very time sensitive. Okay, so now MPLS is very popular now. Okay, although it has been around since 30 years ago. Okay, but it is very popular, still popular until now. So and some more, it becomes popular because it is usually used to enhance the existing Ethernet connectivity. So and if you or in the past few years, when we have the SD-WAN technology, okay, so basically people are looking more of how we can integrate the MPLS with the SD-WAN technology. So now again, as we know that the router, when they want to forward the packet, so they will do the IP lookup on the routing table to find where to send which network to send the data to the destination. So basically here, whenever a router receives IP packet, it is provided with a destination IP address. So this is how we tell the router where the packets find a destination. So the reason is that the router has no information about how the packet should travel to its destination. So because of that, in the normal IP routing, so it will provide limited amount of information. It's just based on the sender and destination IP address. So MPLS solved this problem. So they try to solve this problem where what happened here, it makes the router the first router. Okay, so you look at this diagram. So there are many routers in this diagram. So basically it makes the first router, okay, to actually decide its future route. So if you look into diagram here, we have the CE and PE. Okay, so what is CE? CE is the customer edge. Okay, customer edge. So or the device at the customer end. Okay, so the router at the customer end. So this is CE, customer edge. Maksud dia sekarang ni is the edge router for any organisation. Alright, and then we have the PE. PE is the provider edge. Okay, so we have PE, which is what it means is the provider edge. So in here, so this router has the responsibility, the PE, okay, has the responsibility to actually determine, okay, which way or which path for the packet to be routed to the destination. Okay, so that's the responsibility of the provider edge. So here, if we look again, so I already explained about the CE and also the PE. So when the CE, okay, forwarded the packet to the PE, so basically the PE will intercept the packet and be the one that decides is the future route of the packet. So the first route to make contact gives each packet a label. So like for example CE, this CE send a packet to the PE. So PE will decide the route, and the next router, okay, the next router that make contact of each packet, for example PE send this packet to another router, so they will give the packet with a label which can be read by routers further down the chain. So for example, if you send a packet through here, so the next router will label the packet. Okay, so these packets are forwarded at the switching level rather than the router level. So basically we are not forwarding the packet using the IP address. Now we are because if you are forwarding packet using IP address, so the forwarding is done on layer 3. Okay, but now because each packet is labeled at the next router, so we are actually doing switching rather than routing. So kalau routing, you need to, every time you forward the packet to the router, so they need to check at the routing table. But here, because you are doing switching is broadcasting, forwarding, okay, you just forward. So basically it will result in higher speed. Okay, it will result in higher speed. Okay, maksudnya lebih cepat. Okay, it's faster. So that's the idea. Hence the reason why the MPLS is usually used for the multimedia data, voice and video. Alright, the next private WAN infrastructure is VSAT. So for VSAT, very small temperature terminal. So actually, we have two technology which is similar, which is VSAT and satellite internet. So VSAT is similar to satellite internet, but the difference is VSAT is used for the private one, and satellite internet is used for public one. Okay. Now we move to the public one infrastructure. So this is the most common. Okay, siapa yang subscribe for Streamix, okay, they will use the DSL technology. But for those who are currently subscribing Unify, so basically because Unify use fiber, so it's a bit different. But for streaming is for DSL, it is always on connection technology, and the difference is here it will use twisted pair telephone lines. Okay, so what happened here is DSL modem converts internet signal from the user device to a DSL signal. Okay, but nowadays we also have other type of line, which is cable. Okay, cable connection. So this is if the internet services is provided by some cable television network. Kalau in Malaysia, I think Astro previously has advertised that they provide a cable infrastructure, okay, cable broadband, but in overseas, the UK, the US, so cable network is very common, okay, where the network access is provided by some cable television network. And then we have another public one infrastructure like the municipal Wi-Fi, WiMAX, and also satellite internet. During the war between Ukraine and also the Russia, so basically satellite internet is widely used because there is a communication breakdown in the normal internet infrastructure in the Ukraine. So I still remember at that time the president of the Ukraine has asked Elon Musk to provide the satellite internet to them. Okay, so it's used, but of course it's a bit expensive and from the existing infrastructure. And then we have the 3G and 4G cellular. 3G, 4G. Now we have 5G, and then the 4G is long-term evolution, LTE. But now most of us are using 5G. Depends on the capabilities of your phone. Okay. And then we also have VPN technology. Okay, I'm not going to explain further on the VPN because we have a dedicated chapter for this. But what is VPN actually? VPN is the encrypted connection between private network over a public network. Meaning, even though you do not lease the dedicated line, but you still can have a private connection between these two sites, the headquarters and also the branch, using the public internet infrastructure. Okay. So now we are at the end of the lessons. So this is self-reflection question. So you need to go back and look at what is the purpose of the WAN, what is the geographical scope, and what are the traffic requirements for the WAN link. Alright. So I end this class. Assalamualaikum and good day.